Move your things to the corridor, Igioma. You're not coming in. Tun said it without blinking, one hand on the doorframe of the Banana Island condo, the other on a woman's waist. The woman, slim, caramel skin, bright red gelly, smiled at me like I'd brought her flowers. My keycard flashed red. He'd changed the access. Behind them, the marble foyer of our $100 million condo gleamed like a museum. My father was dying at Lagoon Hospital, and my husband had chosen tonight to lock me out. What would you do if you walked in on this? I whispered to my phone's camera. Hit like if you've ever been betrayed, and comment below where you're watching from. The words came out raw, a YouTube reflex I'd learned producing charity videos with Dad. Then I put the phone down. This wasn't content. This was my life. Tund, Papa just called my name for the last time, I said. He's fading. Let me grab my black dress and... She'll wear the black dress, the woman cut in, tapping her manicured nail against the door. We have a gala. Lagos business night. He's a major donor now. My stomach dropped. The card reader flashed red again. Domestic betrayal. Infidelity in marriage. Cheating spouse, right in my doorway like a billboard on Ozumbambadu. You moved money, I said. I saw the alert. $2 million to a Mauritius account. Tund breathed out through his nose, bored. I told you, men handle business. Women decorate. Go handle your father. We'll send flowers. The security guards, men who called me madam when I tipped them for Eid, stood awkwardly by the elevator. One shifted his cap, half apologizing with his eyes. Neighbors peered from behind their door chains. Public Disgrace had a soft, nosy soundtrack, whispers, elevator chimes, a gospel chorus drifting from a cleaner's radio. I stepped closer. Whose name is on the deed, Tund? He smirked. That would be mine. Lightning flickered beyond 5 Cowrie Creek. Inside the foyer, the chandelier threw diamonds across the ceiling. The other woman, Fola, Tund said, feeding me her name like pepper soup I hadn't asked for, adjusted his pocket square. Let's not be late, babe. I swallowed. My father's voice echoed in my head. Keep your accounts clean, your records cleaner, and your ledger in God's hands. I reached for the door again. Red light. Tund stepped forward, lowering his voice so only I could hear. I changed the safe code too. You don't live here anymore. I stared at the soft-closed door. We'll see. Outside, the evening tasted like rain and Danfo exhaust. I dialed my brother in Abuja, then dropped the call. No. Some battles were better fought in quiet. I picked up my small suitcase. The handle felt colder than the wind. When I looked up, Fola was already inside, blowing me a kiss from my foyer. My phone buzzed, a text from the hospital chaplain. Your father is asking for you. Urgent. I stepped into the elevator, tears gathering, rage boiling, heart pounding. As the doors slid shut, I swore I heard the soft click of my own house locking behind me forever. Or so Tund believed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The corridors at Lagoon Hospital smelled like antiseptic and rain. My father's room was dim, machines blinking like city lights at midnight. He was a proud Igbo man who built highways from Owerri to Port Harcourt, then set his compass on Lagos, where fortunes turn fast and fail faster. In his last days, he still asked about the price of cement and the traffic at 3rd Mainland Bridge. Ige, he whispered, voice thin as thread. Where is your husband? Working, I said. He sends love. It was a lie that tasted like rust. Dad's knuckles tightened around my fingers. Marriage is an altar. But don't burn yourself on it. Tund and I had met 5 years earlier at an investor's brunch on Victoria Island. He laughed like a man who always knew the punchline, wore suits that understood his shoulders, and danced to Burn a Boy at weddings like he had rhythm nobody else could afford. He had Lagos charm, the intoxicant that makes smart women forget to lock their hearts. In the ward, my younger sister Adeora brought jollof in a plastic container and fussed, her Ghana braids piled into a crown. She didn't like Tund. She liked how I used to laugh. "Have you eaten?" she asked. "I will." I scrolled through my phone, watching as Tund's gala photos began hitting the blogs. Tund Adeyemi and mystery date at Lagos business night. Commenters enjoyed the tea. Someone tagged me with a sad emoji. Co-parenting conflict had never been our problem. We didn't have children yet. But emotional manipulation. Tund had a degree in it. Dad's eyes fluttered. "My lawyer?" he asked. "He's on his way," I said, though I hadn't called yet. My thumb hovered over Barrister Namdi's number, the man who'd managed Dad's holdings from the day I could spell escrow. The condo had been a surprise housewarming gift after our wedding. "For peace," Dad had said, tapping my head with his pipe. "Ikoyi quiets a restless soul." I'd never asked whose name framed that title. I'd trusted my husband. I'd trusted the fairy tale of an African marriage drama with a happy moral. The rain came heavy. The chaplain prayed. Dad drifted in and out of a sleep that smelled like goodbye. Around midnight, he squeezed my hand again. "Remember the envelope at home," he murmured. "The green one with the gold thread. It is yours, NWAM." A door that no longer opened for me. At 2:07 a.m., my father exhaled and did not inhale again. Adeora's cry broke from somewhere deep and wild. I held her and felt something in me harden like concrete curing. Grief has edges. Revenge shapes itself against them. When the nurse covered Dad's face, my phone lit up with a new message from Tund. "Don't embarrass yourself, Ij. Sign what I send in the morning. No drama." My thumbs trembled over the screen. The elevator of my mind slowed, stopped, and turned. In the reflection of the hospital window, I saw a woman with wet cheeks and a steel spine, one who would not sign. At dawn, as the city shook out its umbrellas, Barrister Namdi arrived with a leather folder and eyes that had seen many fortunes rise and fall. He took my hand between his. "Your father prepared for storms." "What storms?" I asked, voice raw. "The kind that require deeds," he said, placing the folder on my lap. My heart thudded once, then again, louder. "Deeds to what?" He opened the folder. "To everything that matters." The pages whispered. The gold seal caught a thread of pale sun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. By noon, Lagos social media had my marriage in autopsy. Power couple splits? New queen of Ikoyi? A gossip page posted a slow-motion clip. Tund helping Fola into a black G-Wagon, her oso oak shimmering. Public disgrace is a Lagos carnival. Horns blaring, drums pounding, everyone selling something. Popcorn, pity, opinions. I wore a simple black iro and buba to my father's house in Ikoyi, where the women had gathered to cook and cry. Stew bubbled. Condolence songs drifted like smoke. In the back room where Dad kept his files, I found the green envelope with gold thread. Inside, a letter in his blocky hand and a single key card. NWAM, it began. "Never let a man make you homeless in your own home." I stared at the key card. Behind me, Auntie Ifeoma's voice rose in prayer, thunder rolling through it. My phone rang. Unknown number. "This is HR at Blue Marble Limited," a bright voice chirped. "Your husband's team requests your signature on a spousal consent form for asset restructuring. Quick thing. He said you're at Lagoon, so we can send a bike." I looked at the letter again. Then at the key card. "Send it," I said. "I'll be ready." When the dispatch rider arrived, I collected the manila envelope, slid out the document, and read. It wasn't a quick thing. It was a shell game. My signature would acknowledge Tund's sole ownership of properties I'd thought we shared. It would also grant consent to collateralize the Banana Island condo for a speculative project in Lekki, risky, leveraged, foolish. The kind of deal that made men heroes at parties and bankrupt on Mondays. I called Tund. He picked up on the second ring, like he'd been waiting for my obedience. "Sign, Ij," he said. "We have investors at my office on Ozumba. Don't humiliate me." You humiliated yourself, I said, with your mistress on every blog. He laughed softly. Jealousy is ugly on you. The condo door had rejected me last night. I held up the new key card. I'll bring it to you, I said. In person. He scoffed. Spare me the theatrics. Meet me at home, I said, and ended the call. The driver, one of Dad's old men from Oberland, with kind eyes and a gentle way around potholes, took me back to Banana Island. Security tried to wave me away. I held up the key card. The guard squinted. The barrier lifted like a curtain before a scene change. At my door, my thumb hesitated, then pressed. Green. The lock clicked. The foyer opened, chandelier glittering, orchids perfuming the air, silence loud enough to make my ears ring. I stepped in and closed the door behind me. My house. My father's letter burned warm in my pocket. A second later, the elevator chimed. Laughter spilled. Tund and Fola, mid-kiss, tumbled out, then froze like actors finding the audience already seated. What are you doing here? Fola snapped. I raised my phone and hit record. Delivering the consent you wanted, I said, holding up the unsigned form. And a message. What message? Tund asked, frowning. That you should never play chess with a woman whose father taught her the endgame, I said, and slid the green envelope onto the console table by the door. Fola reached for it. What's that? A key, I said. To the part of this story you didn't read. Tund laughed again, but it sounded wrong. Stop performing, Ige. I'm done performing, I said, steady. I'm narrating. From the hallway, footsteps. The head of the estate association appeared with 2 uniformed men and a clipboard. He looked from me to Tund, then back, throat bobbing. We need to verify residency, he said carefully. There's been a complaint. I smiled, small and sharp. Good, I said. Start with the deed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Comment your thoughts on the betrayal and share this with someone who loves drama. In Nigeria, paper is power. We gathered at the glass dining table. Me in black, Tund in a storm gray suit, Fola perched like a cat on the edge of a chair, the association head paging through photocopies. The uniformed men stood by the wall, expressions carved from granite. Madam Ijeoma, the association head said at last, adjusting his glasses, this title shows a trust as the owner. Okoye Family Holdings. Tund's jaw tightened. And who is the trustee? He asked, each word like a nail. Barrister Namdi, I said, voice soft. And the beneficiary? I nodded toward the line that mattered. The man read, eyes widening. Is Mrs. Ijeoma Okoye Adeyemi? He looked up, startled into humanness. Madam, it is you. Silence fell like a hammer. Fola shifted, bracelets clinking. Tund swallowed. This is impossible, he said. We signed. You signed a prenup stating your generous contribution to our marriage would be your charisma, I said. My father did the rest. Tund's laugh cracked. You can't evict me from my home. I can evict anyone who makes my home unsafe, I said, sliding a printed notice across the table, the start of a legal process I'd asked Namdi to prepare at dawn. You changed my key card. You attempted to strip my assets. You brought another woman into my bedroom while my father died. The association head cleared his throat. Please, let's keep emotions calm, he murmured, Lagos conflict resolution tone engaged. Madam, sir, we will verify with the registry and the trustee. For now, everyone cool down. Tund rose so fast his chair skidded. You think you're strong because your father left you money, he hissed, inches from my face. But you don't know the games we play. I will ruin you in this city. We share the same city, I said. But we don't share the same rules. He grabbed the unsigned consent form, crumpled it in his fist. You are finished. He stormed out, Fola tottering after him in stilettos, whispering about Plan B into her phone. The elevator doors swallowed them. I stood there, shaking. The uniformed men looked anywhere but at my eyes. The association head gathered his papers. "Madam," he said softly, "be careful. Men like that prefer war to losing." "I prefer peace," I said. "But I'm not afraid of court." When they left, I walked down the corridor to the master bedroom. The bed cover was rumpled, lipstick on a pillowcase like a scar. I sat on the edge, holding my father's letter until my heartbeat slowed from thunder to drum. Outside the windows, water taxis pulsed across the lagoon. The city hummed its restless song. This was a modern African marriage drama, yes. But it would also be a legal revenge story. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown telegram number, a video. I pressed play and Tun's voice filled the room, laughing, drunk, bragging at the gala. "She's weak," he told a circle of men. "I'll get her to sign by morning. Women like her want peace. I'll buy it cheap." Another man whistled. "And the condo? A stepping stone, my guy. Lekki Phase 1 project will make me a god." Then softer, uglier. "Besides, Fola is better." I watched my husband's mouth shape disrespect. The furniture blurred. My throat burned. Then the burn cooled into focus. I forwarded the clip to Namdi. He replied in under a minute. "Keep everything. We file injunction Monday." I exhaled, slow. In the mirror I didn't recognize the woman staring back, until I saw my mother in my cheekbones, my father in my eyes. I stood, stripped the bed, and called housekeeping. "Please bring new linens," I said. "White." Then I went to the safe. Tund had changed the code, but the trustee had not. 6 digits opened with a soft, obedient purr. Inside lay bank tokens, share certificates, and a small velvet box. I opened it. My mother's wedding ring, heavy, warm, glittered like a memory. I slid it on and felt my pulse steady. When the doorbell rang again, I expected the association head. Instead, it was a little boy, maybe 10, uniform dusty, eyes wet. "Auntie," he sniffed, holding out a phone, "my mummy said I should give you this from the school group." On the screen, a photo thread from the parents' WhatsApp. Tund leaving my condo with Fola, captured by 3 different angles. The caption, "Some husbands fear shame no more. Check on your friend." I thanked the boy and tipped him. As he left, thunder cracked, rolling over the water. A storm was coming, and I was ready to stand in it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The next morning, morning rituals began. Aunties in wrapper and scarf filled the Ikoyi house with prayers and pepper soup. Drummers came, soft at first, then louder, as condolences turned into testimonies of a life well lived. In Igbo culture, grief and gratitude walk side by side. We cry, and we count our blessings out loud. Between rituals, I met Namdi at his office on Broad Street. The old building smelled like law books and rain-soaked suits. He spread documents on his desk, an injunction to freeze movement on the condo title, a petition for protection from domestic intimidation, a letter to Blue Marble Limited requiring spousal disclosure of all marital assets acquired during the years of marriage. "Your father's trust was meticulous," he said, tapping clauses like piano keys. "It shields, but it also demands. You must be above reproach." "I will be," I said. "I want nothing that isn't mine. I just want my house and my name clean." He nodded. "And your husband? Let the court decide how much of my mercy he deserves." As I left, a text flashed on my phone from an unknown number. A woman's voice note followed, voice shaking. "Madam, please don't block me. My name is Saad. I'm the other one. Not the gala girl. The first one. He promised me he'd leave you after the elections. He owes me money. He owes me more than money. Please. He took something from me." I stopped under the overhang as rain hammered the street. Another betrayal. Another fracture in the picture. Co-parenting conflict wasn't our story, but consequences were. I called back. She answered on the first ring. "Please don't cut," she begged. He kept my messages, my pictures, to threaten me. He said if I talk, he'll post them. Where are you? I asked. Yaba, she whispered. Near the market. Meet me at Freedom Park in 1 hour, I said. Bring everything. I arrived early. Lagos breathed wet and weary. Umbrellas bloomed like flowers. Vendors sang the names of their goods in long, beautiful lines. Saad came in a denim jacket with frayed cuffs, eyes red, braids under a cap. She handed me a flash drive with trembling fingers. I thought he loved me, she said, tears cutting salt paths down her cheeks. I was stupid. No, I said, voice anchored. You were lied to. We sat on a bench while I scrolled. Receipts. Transfers. Threats typed at 2 a.m. that tasted like whiskey. A photo of a document that made my mouth go dry. A draft of a power of attorney with my forged signature. He'd planned to sign on my behalf. He used a guy in Suralere, Saad said. He bragged about it to hurt me. I closed my eyes. Domestic betrayal. Emotional manipulation. The words weren't hashtags. They were wounds. But wounds, when cleaned, could become warnings. Will you swear to this? I asked. She nodded, fierce now. I want him to stop. Then he will, I said. Legally. Across the park, a small band started a highlife tune. A couple danced, umbrellas tilting like planets. My phone buzzed with a clip from a gossip show, hosts cackling about Ikoyi wife locked out. Public disgrace kept pounding its drum. I drove home to Banana Island and found the elevator broken, neighbors grumbling. I climbed 6 flights, breath burning, mind clear. When I reached the corridor, Fola was waiting, arms folded, a smile like a blade. You think winning is law and paper, she said. But Lagos runs on perception, dear. Perception changes when the truth arrives, I said, stepping past her key perfume. And the truth has receipts. Post them, she said, amused. Ruin your own name to ruin his? Brave. I'll let the judge read, I said. And your employer. You're a PR director, right? Brands love integrity. Her smile cracked. She reached out, voice low. You don't want war with me. I don't want anything with you, I said. Except distance. Inside, on the console, a white envelope waited with my name. I opened it, heart thudding. Inside, a photo of me sleeping, taken from our bedroom's doorway. On the back, a note in Tun's hand. Be careful where you rest. My skin went cold. He'd been in here while I was gone. The camera on the foyer blinked red, then died. Power flickered. The room darkened, then steadied. I put the photo down, set my phone to record, and walked toward the bedroom, every step loud on the polished floor, every breath a countdown to whatever trap he thought I wouldn't see. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The trap was petty, not lethal. A hidden Bluetooth speaker under the bed, set to play a baby's cry at random times. Psychological warfare. I unplugged it and laughed. Not with humor, but with the shock of realizing how small a man can become when he feels big things slipping away. I called estate security. They came, took notes, promised to audit the access logs. While they worked, I drafted emails. To Blue Marble's board with copies of the draft power of attorney. To the PR firm in Victoria Island where Fola worked, attaching time-stamped videos of her in my marital home, tied to a public scandal. To an old friend in the press who knew how to tell the truth without turning it into a circus. By afternoon, a different kind of war drumbeat. Legal. Namdi filed our motions. The court granted an interim order. Tun prohibited from altering or entering the property without consent. A marshal would serve him by close of business. But Tund didn't wait to be served. He sent a storm. At 5 p.m., my phone pinged, a bank alert. A $500,000 debit attempt from our joint operating account, the one I rarely touched because Dad taught me to keep my money elsewhere. The system flagged it, held it for verification. I called immediately. The banker, a woman with a voice like velvet and steel, confirmed, We'll require dual authorization. We do not have your consent. Thank you, I said, and felt that quiet power again, the kind that comes from preparation, not bluster. Minutes later, Tund called. No hello. Reverse that, he snapped. My site will stall. Let it stall, I said. You built it on lies. You think America will care about your little African revenge story, he sneered. Your diaspora audience loves tears. Give them yours. America taught me paperwork, I said. Lagos taught me timing. He laughed, ugly. You don't have the stomach for this. The intercom buzzed. Security again. Madam, there is a woman downstairs, the guard said. She says she's your husband's wife. I am his only wife, I said, ice in my tone. Which woman? She says, her name is Halima. A third woman. Not Fola. Not Saad. Pattern, not an accident. Send her to the garden, I said. Not the lobby. We sat on the patio overlooking the water, birds stitching the sky with sound. Halima wore a plain abaya and moved like someone who wanted to be invisible. She told me a story in careful Hausa-accented English, a secret wedding in Abuja 2 years ago, a pregnancy that ended in grief, a promise to be patient while he sorted Lagos. He'd cut her off when she asked for formal acknowledgement. I want nothing, she said, eyes steady. Just peace. But if you go to court, I will say what I know. Thank you, I said, throat tight. After she left, I stood in the salt wind and let tears come, brief and hot. Then I wiped my face and turned on the camera. Ladies, I recorded for my future self and for women who would find this someday on a playlist called African Marriage Drama. When a man scatters the ground under your feet, plant pillars. That night, Blue Marble's board replied. Formal, cool, effective. We have received your correspondence and will investigate. Fola's firm sent an out of office. My press friend asked, on or off record? I typed, for now, off. Let the filings speak. At 10:13 p.m., the building's fire alarm shrieked. Doors opened. Tenants poured into the corridor in wrapper and slides. False alarm, someone said. Kids, said another. But when the smoke cleared, and we returned to our flats, I found a smear of black soot across my door. A message. Security footage would later show a cap pulled low, a hoodie in the rain. For now, it showed me alone, tracing the smear with one finger, and then picking up my phone to make one more call, to the police liaison Namdi trusted. Everything documented, I said. Tomorrow, we move. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Share this with someone who loves drama, and tell us in the comments what justice should look like here. Court in Lagos is a theater with tired seats and a stage where people pretend not to bleed. We filed into the courtroom, lawyers in wigs that looked like elaborate jokes on the head, clerks carrying bundles of life bound in twine. On the other side, Tund arrived in a blue suit that made him look taller. Fola slipped into the back row in sunglasses, as if grief was sunlight. The judge, a woman with eyes that saw through stone, read our filings, her mouth a flat line. Namdi spoke first, voice a low drum. My lord, our client is the beneficial owner of the property in question through a trust established years before marriage. The respondent has engaged in intimidation, attempted fraudulent conveyance, and threatens dissipation of assets. Tund's lawyer, a man who loved his own adjectives, rose to paint me as hysterical, vindictive, a bitter wife seeking to ruin a great man's business. This is domestic misunderstanding escalated by social media, he said, spreading his hands like a pastor. Counsel, the judge said, voice soft and sharp, do not patronize this court. He deflated. Slightly. We submitted Sada's affidavit, Halima's sworn statement, the bank's dual authorization record, the video clip of Tund boasting at the gala. The judge watched the clip twice, expression unreadable. Tund stared at me across the space where air felt thicker. He mouthed, you'll pay. When Namdi finished, the judge leaned back. This court will protect property rights and personal safety, she said. Interim orders are hereby extended. The respondent is restrained from entering the premises, from contacting the applicant except through counsel, and from transferring or encumbering any asset related to the trust or marital estate until determination of the substantive suit. Tund made a sound like a man swallowing glass. Outside, cameras waited. A blogger thrust a mic forward. "Madam Igioma, is it true your husband has a second wife?" I kept walking. Let the filings speak. At home, I changed the locks again. The association arranged extra patrols. Estate children still rode scooters in the corridor, their laughter an act of rebellion against adult foolishness. I made tea, turned on Wazobia FM for company, and called Adeora. She cried, then laughed, then cursed Tund in 3 languages, then promised fresh soup. When I hung up, the apartment felt too quiet. I sat on the floor with my back against the sofa and opened my father's letter again. Embedded inside, almost invisible, was a second, smaller note in my mother's looping hand. "Love is a covenant, not a cage." My phone buzzed. A new message, no ID, just a link. Against my better judgment, I tapped. A cloud drive opened to a single video labeled, "For Your Eyes." I pressed play. The room in the video was mine. My painting, my chair. Tund stood by the window, talking to someone off camera. "Everything is timing," he said. "She's weak now. After burial, she'll be too tired. I'll get her to sign." A second voice answered. My heart stopped. It was someone who should have been an ally. Someone close. The voice said, "We can help make her tired." The screen froze on a shadowed face I recognized. I paused the video, breath gone, blood roaring in my ears. Betrayal had new coordinates now, inside the camp. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The face belonged to my cousin Chica, my father's brother's son, who managed one of our smaller logistics firms in Apapa. We grew up together, shared chin-chin under the table at Christmas, whispered about crushes at weddings. He'd been around the condo lately, checking on me. He'd also asked casual questions about account numbers, succession plans, help he could offer. I called him. "Come," I said. "Now." He arrived with smiles and juice, entered like a relative who believed blood protected him from storms. I offered tea. He sat, glanced around, and said, "Sister, I'm sorry about everything. Men can be." "Careful," I said. "We're recording." He blinked. "Recording what?" "The truth," I said, placing my phone on the table. "Why are you helping Tund?" His eyes flickered, then steadied. "I don't know what you mean." I hit play on the video. His face on the screen, blurred but unmistakable, answered Tund. "We can help make her tired." Chica's cheeks drained. He swallowed, then tried a smile that looked like a cracked plate. "It was nothing, just talk. You know Lagos. Men talk. Men also steal," I said. "And they recruit family." He sagged. "I needed money," he whispered. "The port is killing us. Bribes, delays." Tund promised a contract if I helped him, if I passed small information. "What information?" "Your schedule. When you sleep. If you were alone. If the cleaner comes. If—" His voice broke. "I'm sorry." My hands shook, then stilled. "You will write that in a statement," I said, "and you will return everything he gave you. Then you will disappear from my house, my office, my life, until I decide otherwise." He nodded, tears spilling. "Please tell Auntie." "Don't tell her." "She will hear from me," I said. "In my own time." After he left, I slid down the wall and cried in a way I hadn't allowed at the hospital. Betrayal in marriage is heavy. Betrayal by family presses that weight into your bones. But tears clean. And when I stood, my resolve was stainless. I forwarded the video to Namdi. He called immediately. "This strengthens our case," he said. "We can add counts: conspiracy, harassment. We will also pursue criminal charges for the forged power of attorney." "Do it," I said. The press friend texted, "Rumor that Blue Marble is holding an emergency board meeting. Want to be in the room?" "No," I typed. "But I want them to know I see them." At sunset, I drove alone to Bar Beach. The air salt-bitten, the sky painted with God's soft mercy. Vendors hawked boli and roasted corn. A boy with a gem played a rhythm I felt in my teeth. I sat on the seawall and called Halima and Saad to thank them for their courage. I told them what would come next, a formal complaint, protection if they wanted it, distance if they preferred it. When I turned to go, a silhouette separated from the shadows near the steps. Tund. Alone. He looked like a man who'd slept bad and eaten worse. "You're making a mistake," he said. "You made many," I said. He stepped closer. I'm sorry." "Which part?" I asked. "The women, the theft, the humiliation, the photo you left on my console, the men you sent to make me tired?" He winced. Chica talked. "Everyone talks eventually," I said. "That's Lagos too." He swallowed. "Let's fix this quietly. We can still." "No," I said. "We will fix it loudly, legally, and finally." He exhaled, a sound that tried to be a laugh and ended as a cough. "You will regret this." "I regret marrying you," I said. "Everything after is repair." He looked past me at the water. "The condo is mine," he said, a last gasp of denial. "The condo is my father's love made concrete," I said. "And love is a covenant, not a cage." His face twisted. "You think you're noble. You're just like me." "No," I said, turning to go. "That's why this ends now." Behind me, his voice rose, half plea, half threat. "If you do this, I will make sure you never feel safe in Lagos again." I didn't turn. "I already learned new definitions of safety," I said, and walked toward the streetlights. "Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below." The eviction hearing drew a crowd that smelled like perfume, sweat, and curiosity. Journalists waited outside like hawks. Inside, the judge was the same woman whose eyes weighed men and found them wanting. The question before her was narrow. Does the beneficial owner have the right to exclusive possession in light of intimidation, fraud attempts, and public scandal? Namdi argued clean. Facts lined up like soldiers. Tun's side tried theatrics. The judge preferred soldiers. Then came the twist my father had saved for the moment I needed it most. "Before ruling," Namdi said, "we have one more exhibit, a sealed addendum to the trust, executed on the decedent's death, now opened per his instruction." He handed the envelope to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. She slid it with a letter opener, pulled out a single page, read, and looked at me for the first time that day as if she saw the daughter buried under the plaintiff. The addendum said, "Upon my death, my daughter, Mrs. Ijeoma Okoye Adeyemi, shall have the right to sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of the Banana Island property without consent of any spouse, and to apply proceeds to philanthropy in her mother's name." The courtroom rustled like leaves. Tun's lawyer blanched. Tund closed his eyes for a heartbeat, then opened them, a smooth mask ripping. The judge's voice was quiet thunder. "The court grants exclusive possession to the applicant, effective immediately. The respondent is ordered to vacate within 72 hours and is restrained from approaching within 100 meters of the premises. Furthermore, the court refers the forged power of attorney to the DPP for review." The gavel's knock felt like a door unlocking inside my chest. Outside, microphones shoved forward. I said nothing, but my silence spoke. Domestic betrayal meets legal revenge. An African marriage drama with consequences, not gossip. At home, I walked from room to room like a woman taking inventory not of furniture, but of breath. I opened windows. I changed the sheets again. I placed my mother's ring in a bowl on the dresser and whispered thank you into the air, to both my parents, to God who'd stood between me and the roaring. On the third day, estate security escorted Tun to collect what the order allowed. Clothes, personal items, nothing that hummed with value. He stood in the foyer and stared at me. "You won't be happy," he said, pity and poison mixing in his tone. "Happiness is not a house," I said. "But peace needs a roof." He left. The door shut behind him with a soft click. I exhaled years. An hour later, my press friend texted, "Blue Marble Board just voted him out as CEO. Statement at noon. Integrity concerns." I sat on the floor and laughed, not from cruelty, but from the relief of a structure holding. Then I cried, because endings hurt even when they heal. In the evening, as the city lit itself like a festival, Eduora came over with zobo and meat pies. We sat on the balcony watching the lagoon darken. "Sell it," she said suddenly. "What?" "Sell this condo," she said. "Start new. Fund the women's shelter you always wanted." I looked at the chandelier through the glass, at the polished floors that had seen too much. Dad's addendum gave me permission. My heart gave me direction. I nodded. "We'll call the agent tomorrow." The doorbell rang. I rose, wiped my eyes, and checked the camera. On the screen, an older woman in a simple wrapper, dignity sitting on her shoulders like a queen. She looked like someone's mother. She looked like mine. "Who is it?" Eduora asked. I opened the door. "Good evening, madam." "Good evening, my daughter," she said, voice gentle. "I am Fola's mother. May I come in? We need to talk about what my child has done." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. We sat at the table where so much had broken and so much had been repaired. Fola's mother, Mama Ronk, folded her hands and stared at the orchids as if they might answer prayers. "I raised her better," she said simply. "But Lagos is a river. It carries some children fast." Tears glossed her eyes. "I heard your story. I saw the blogs. Shame is heavy. I came to drop some of mine and carry some of yours." I swallowed. "You don't owe me anything." She shook her head. "We owe each other everything." She reached into her bag and placed a small voice recorder on the table. "Fola came home angry last night. She said the man promised her marriage papers, a new house, a foreign account. She told me things. She bragged. Then she cried. I recorded it. You may use it if it brings truth." I pressed play. Fola's voice filled the room, brash and breaking. "He said his wife is soft, that Lagos women want status, not war. He said once she signs, we move to London. He said I should help him with the lawyer who can copy her signature." Then a sob. "But he's lying to me the way he lied to her." I stopped the tape. My chest ached, for myself, yes, for the young women fed lies like sugarcane, for a city that celebrates men who gamble with hearts as if they were chips. "Thank you," I said. "This will help close the circle." Mama Ronk stood to go, then turned back. "Sell this house," she said softly, echoing Eduora. "Bless it by letting it go." In the weeks that followed, we did exactly that. A discreet listing. An offer from an embassy with deep pockets. Papers signed under a sky that finally held no thunder. Proceeds routed to Okoye Women's House, a shelter with bright rooms and locked doors that only open to love. We named the counseling room after my mother. The legal clinic bore my father's name. Blue Marble installed a new CEO and issued policies about respect in the workplace. Fola resigned from her firm and sent a letter requesting a meeting. I told her not yet. Not while the wounds were pink. Saad took a job in a new city. Halima enrolled in a course and sent me a photo of her certificate, her smile quiet and wide. In court, the criminal matter moved. Tund pled to lesser charges when he realized the evidence wasn't theater, it was teeth. He avoided prison by a hair, paid fines that made headlines, and left Lagos for a while. The city adjusted, as it always does. The blogs found new meat. The Danfo drivers found new potholes. Life kept banging its drum. On the day I handed the keys to the new owners, I walked through each room and thanked it for sheltering me in the storm. I stood in the foyer, scene of the lockout, the return, the battles, and placed my palm flat on the console table. Never let a man make you homeless in your own home, Dad had written. He meant bricks and mortar. He meant bones and breath. He meant the house a woman builds inside herself that no door can lock, no gossip can unroof, no betrayal can flood. Outside, the lagoon flashed silver. Somewhere on radio, Burna Boy was telling a story about survival. On my phone, a notification pinged. The shelter's first resident had arrived, a young mother with eyes like broken glass and hands like a prayer. I headed there at once. At the gate, a girl of about 10 sat on a stool, feet swinging, braids beaded in rainbow colors. She looked up and grinned. "Auntie, is this the house where women rest?" she asked. I smiled, felt tears rise, let them fall. "Yes," I said, opening the door. "This is where we rest and rise." Thank you for journeying with me through domestic betrayal, infidelity in marriage, cheating spouse drama, co-parenting conflict with the city itself, emotional manipulation, public disgrace, and finally, legal revenge that didn't poison the soul. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping African marriage drama stories like this. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that love is a covenant, not a cage, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what part of this story hit you hardest.